The informal trading sector is a critical pillar of South African urban life, supporting nearly 457,000 individuals, roughly 23% of the city's total employment. The shift in urban planning philosophy for 2026 argues that rather than attempting to eliminate these traders, the City of Johannesburg must pivot towards effective developmental management. Let's unpack this further with the urban planner and writer Tanya Zack. Tanya, thank you very much for joining us. It is hard, I mean, outside of just local government, not to see these informal traders as a nuisance. I mean, just Johannesburg residents often just speak on their WhatsApp groups bemoaning their perfectly manicured lawns now looking like a mess because of them, right? Let's talk about why it is that you have a differing approach to this.
So thank you, Nompumelelo, and good day to the listeners. Nompumelelo, I think we are recognizing that informal trade is an important part of our economy and a very important part of the inner city economy of Johannesburg. I'm alarmed that in 2026 we're still discussing the legitimacy of informal trade, whether it should be eliminated or reduced, rather than what should be done to stimulate, enable and empower and frankly grow the sector, which is providing not only employment opportunities, but access to goods and services for the poor. And in my own research, parts of the inner city are operating like a port and serving the region, serving cross-border shoppers. And so the problem, I think, with an approach that only focuses on law and order is that we only look at that part of the very important part of the city's responsibility around law and order. But the other part of the city's responsibility is around development, which is what are all the other issues that the city needs to address in order to make informal trade well managed, viable, and productive. And that goes to the infrastructure, the trading infrastructure. It goes to proper management and governance, registering traders, also the urban management of the streets. I walk the inner city a great deal, Nompumelelo, and although there is congestion, and certainly we need to look at design solutions, when these pavements were established, and when the bylaws were established that govern the sidewalks, we didn't have informal trade. We need to make adjustments for that, and we need to make design adjustments so that there is easy flow for pedestrians and that traders can operate. But we cannot sit back and only be dealing with the law and order in terms of impoundment of goods or declaring illegality. We need to go in there. We need to be putting in the infrastructure to making sure that those sidewalks, it's not just about the congestion, but that you can actually walk on the sidewalk, that the paving is in good condition, that there isn't stormwater pouring over the sidewalk and in the street, that the litter is attended to. And all of this is certainly the city's responsibility and urban management responsibility. We can't hide the urban management failures of the city behind informal trade. We need to be working together. And the city needs to be working with the traders in terms of what those needs are and the solutions, because certainly the traders need to be playing a role in the co-management of that space.
Tanya, I mean, you speak of government's over-reliance on law and order and it then neglecting development. But there's another reality of an over-focus of law and order, and that is also neglecting the economic logic of the inner city, but certainly of these individuals as well. Let's talk about that.
So my research and recent book focuses on an area that we commonly call the Ethiopian Quarter, or Little Addis, around Jeppe Street in the inner city of Johannesburg. And their traders are not only on the street, but also in buildings. And it's a hybrid, formal, informal. These are difficult terms. But we did a survey in 2017, and in that found that cross-border shoppers coming into the city and shopping from these small-scale traders were spending over 10 billion rand a year in the inner city. That was twice the annual turnover of Sandton City Shopping Centre at that stage. Now, that's only one survey in one sector of an economy that's partially formal, partially informal. But many of those shoppers are shopping, from street traders. When COVID hit the country and street traders were not able to trade, the fresh produce market suffered. Also, when the city removed traders wholesale in 2013, the fresh produce market suffered. So this is a vibrant economy, and an economy, Nompumelelo, in an inner city that is flailing, that isn't offering many other options. But I'm saying we have a city here that's offering a port function. Imagine if we did think of it in that way and thought, how do we make this informal trade serve everybody better? So when last did the city create even a trading stall, let alone a linear market? What solutions did they think about when removing the second-hand clothing market off De Villiers Street? And this goes not just to the city's infrastructure, but to Prasa infrastructure. There's a lot of infrastructure there that could accommodate well-managed trading spaces. And we can accommodate trading on many of our streets, but it requires the designation of those as trading streets, giving traders information, and enabling those registration and trading processes. We also very easily damn informal migrant traders. And certainly we need to deal with documentation in the country. But informal migrant traders are very easily illegalized because, as you know, their political asylum status papers are only valid for a few months, then they lapse. So you keep illegalizing them, and so that it's difficult then for them to maintain a registration or a lease or banking, etc. And the problem with reducing the number of trading spaces that you allocate and only allocating them to South Africans is you are encouraging extortion. I have interviewed people who are paying thousands and thousands every month to the so-called legal owner of a trading stall. And we cannot be encouraging that in our city. Let's rather create this artificial scarcity of trading space.
Tanya, you have noted that, the city is not without progressive laws, right? Bylaws. The 2022 policy, for instance, is quite a progressive one. However, you say that the city is still implementing or working according to the 2012 bylaws. What's then the specific danger of this legal limbo for a trader trying to operate legally?
Yeah, I think, in fact, it's less needing to address, extensive new bylaws. One of the bylaws, of course, is that you can't trade on the sidewalks because they're too narrow. And that's really the city's, adjusting its own bylaw to accommodate a new reality in the city. It's much more that the city should simply implement that really good 2022 trader policy, which was negotiated, with traders, and which talks to working with traders in co-managing the space, talks to registration, talk to the city providing infrastructure. It's not just trading stalls and shelter for traders. In some ways, the most important are the basic services. Traders are trading on these streets, thousands of traders without access to water, without effective access to electricity points, cooking traders without proper and safe services for that, and ablution facilities, creating a city of dignity. This is Johannesburg operating as an African city, and we need to support that with the dignity of ablution facilities, and facilities to make this clean and hygienic. And that does mean co-managing with traders for the cleaning of space. And that's perfectly possible. The city historically did have a trader forum, and the policy talks about reinstituting a trader forum and also a forum with other businesses. Because I think the other part of it is that we locate informal trade with everything else that's informal. But informal trade is part of retail. So informal traders have the same problems that shops have, and should be, the retail lobby should be embracing informal trade, and so that there should be also, with other businesses in the area, with other stakeholders in the area as well.
Yeah, it's
and
important.
The city has the capacity to do that.
It's certainly
Absolutely
important that they operate as part of an ecosystem. Tanya, you have called for a comprehensive independent census of traders. Why is it important that the census be independent rather than conducted solely by the JMPD, for instance?
It's really important that, first and foremost, that traders are part of that census, and trade associations who do exist in the city. And a major part of governance is transparency and accountability, both for the traders to be accountable and the city to be accountable for who is trading where, and what are the specific needs of those trading spaces, so that we have a database to work on. We don't collect data on the informal sector, and we've got to recognize informal work as valid work, and to be monitoring it in the same way as we would other economic sectors.
Tanya, thank you very much for your insights. That's urban planner and a writer, Tanya Zack.